When we talk about not being created to be average, the first and most fundamental truth we must confront is this: you are not an accident. Every one of us carries within us a blueprint, a design so precise and intentional that it cannot simply be explained by randomness. You are the product of deliberate creation, and within you lies potential that is unique, unmatched, and irreplaceable. Yet too often we live our lives as though mediocrity is our natural state. We measure ourselves against others, we accept the limitations that society places upon us, and we convince ourselves that being ordinary is acceptable. But it is not. It is not acceptable because it is a betrayal of the very purpose for which you exist. Look around at the world. Every individual you encounter has the capacity for extraordinary impact. And the irony is that many people go through life without realizing this truth. They live within boundaries they did not create, confining themselves to a narrative of limitations rather than a narrative of potential. You, my friends, were not made to fit into an average mold. You were made to expand it, to redefine it, to challenge it. You were made to rise above the complacency that surrounds so many in the world. Now, recognizing your potential is not merely about ambition or ego. It is a matter of acknowledging reality. There is a deep psychological principle at work here. If you do not recognize the capacity within yourself, no one else will. And if you do not cultivate it, it will remain dormant, a seed that never bears fruit. The first step toward greatness, then, is awareness. Become aware of your talents, your inclinations, and your passions. Reflect deeply on what moves you, what excites you, and what you are uniquely equipped to contribute. This is not vanity, it is self-responsibility. To ignore your potential is to ignore a divine trust placed within you. Philosophically, we are confronted with the question, why are we here? If life is merely to exist and survive, then average might suffice. But if life is meant to grow, to learn, and to impact, then average is a failure of vision. Each human being is a universe unto themselves, capable of immense insight, creativity, and influence. This is not hyperbole, it is an observable reality. When you look at history, you see countless individuals who refused to accept ordinary life. They cultivated their gifts, faced challenges, and dared to excel, and their contributions shaped the world in ways that ordinary living never could. But here is the subtle point that often escapes us. Potential alone is not enough. Recognizing your potential is the spark, but it must be followed by intention and action. Without this, even the greatest gifts remain hidden, even the most profound abilities remain dormant. Awareness without pursuit is like a treasure buried in the sand. It exists, but it serves no one. So this recognition of your divine potential is not merely for reflection. It is a call to movement, a call to live in alignment with the extraordinary capacity that has been entrusted to you. So I want you to leave this moment with this thought. You were not made to blend in. You were not made to conform. You were not made to settle. You were made to rise, to strive, and to leave your mark on this world in a way that only you can. The spark of greatness is within you. Ignite it. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for comfort. Step into the reality that your life has infinite value and live in a way that honors that truth. The world does not need another average version of itself. It needs you, fully awake, fully alive, fully committed to being extraordinary. If the first step in rejecting mediocrity is recognizing your unique potential, the next, equally crucial step is confronting the fear that keeps you small. Fear is subtle, yet profoundly persuasive. It whispers to you every day, stay where you are, don't take that risk, don't challenge the familiar. It convinces you that comfort, even if it is dull and uninspiring, is safer than growth. And the irony is that many people mistake safety for wisdom and stagnation for prudence. But true wisdom, the kind that transforms a life from average to extraordinary, requires that we step beyond what feels safe. Comfort zones are the prisons of the mind. They lull you into a false sense of security while quietly eroding your capacity to achieve greatness. The human mind naturally seeks ease, but this very tendency can become the enemy of fulfillment. When you examine your life, you may notice how often fear disguised itself as reason. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of ridicule. All of these keep you small, and they are more limiting than any external circumstance. The world does not stop you. Your hesitation stops you. Your reluctance stops you. Psychologically, fear triggers what is called the fight or flight response. It prepares you to protect yourself, but it also makes you retreat from opportunity. Yet, the most profound growth comes precisely when you do not allow fear to dictate your choices. When you choose action over avoidance, when you choose courage over comfort, the extraordinary begins to emerge. Every individual who has changed the course of their life or the world has done so not because they were fearless, but because they acted in spite of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the deliberate decision to move forward while fear exists. Philosophically, this is also a lesson in human potential. Life is designed to challenge us because challenges are the crucible in which excellence is forged. If everything were easy, if the path were always smooth, mediocrity would be all that we know. But you were not created to simply navigate a smooth existence. You were created to stretch, to strain, to encounter obstacles, and to rise above them. Every moment of discomfort is an opportunity to strengthen your character, to expand your abilities, and to demonstrate to yourself what you are truly capable of. Yet, this confrontation with fear is not a one-time event. It is a daily commitment. Growth is cumulative. Each small act of courage builds momentum. Each choice to step forward, even when uncertain, compounds into a life that is no longer ordinary. And the beautiful thing is that fear itself loses power the more it is confronted. The first step is always the hardest, but once you begin to act despite fear, it diminishes. You start to realize that the boundaries you thought existed were often imagined, and that your potential is far greater than your hesitation suggested. Oh, I want you to reflect on this. Fear is not your enemy, it is a signal. It tells you where the growth is waiting. It marks the line between who you are and who you are capable of becoming. Do not retreat from it. Do not shrink in the face of discomfort. Step boldly into the challenges before you, because that is where the extraordinary is born. Every life of excellence is a life that refused to let fear dictate its limits. Remember this: comfort is temporary, but regret lasts a lifetime. Mediocrity is easy, but greatness demands courage. So ask yourself today, what fear am I holding on to that is keeping me average? And what step can I take right now to move beyond it? The moment you act despite fear is the moment you begin to live the life you were created for. Do not let fear steal your potential. Step forward and rise. If recognizing your potential and confronting fear are the first steps toward rejecting an average life, then the next essential principle is understanding that potential without action is meaningless. Talent, inspiration, and even courage are all seeds. But seeds do not grow on their own. They need soil, sunlight, and water. They need deliberate care and cultivation. In life, that cultivation comes through discipline, consistency, and purposeful action. Without these, even the most extraordinary abilities remain dormant, unrealized, and ultimately wasted. Discipline is not a word that sounds glamorous, but it is the backbone of excellence. Many people have dreams, visions, and even ambitions, but very few are willing to do the work required to make them real. Discipline means showing up when motivation has faded, making the right choices when shortcuts are tempting, and continuing to act even when the outcome is uncertain. It is the bridge between who you are and who you were meant to become. Without it, inspiration is fleeting and potential is wasted. Psychologically, humans are wired to seek instant gratification. We want results now, recognition immediately, and progress in visible forms. But life does not operate on our timetable. Growth is gradual, mastery is cumulative, discipline teaches patience. It trains the mind to stay focused, to persist, and to value long-term achievement over short-term comfort. Every act of discipline, every hour spent learning, every decision made with intention, every step taken when it is easier to sit still, is a vote cast for the extraordinary version of yourself. But action is equally important. Discipline without action becomes rigidity, and intention without action is wishful thinking. You must act, you must take steps, sometimes small, sometimes imperfect, toward the life you were created to live. History is full of people who had incredible potential, but who never acted on it. They had visions and abilities, yet they faded into obscurity because they never translated thought into effort, dream into deed. Action is what separates the dreamers from the achievers. It is what transforms a latent possibility into a tangible reality. Philosophically, this principle reflects a deeper truth about human existence. We are co-creators with our own lives. Our potential is given, but it is incomplete until it is realized through intentional effort. God has endowed each of us with gifts, but He does not force them into fruition. It is our responsibility to cultivate, to strive, and to act. To sit idle is to reject not only your potential, but the trust placed in you. The ordinary life is the life of inaction, and it is chosen not by external forces, but by neglecting the discipline and the effort that could have transformed possibility into greatness. So let us reflect on this. The extraordinary life is built daily, one deliberate choice at a time. It is built in moments when no one is watching, when the temptation to quit is strong, and when the easy path is calling. Excellence does not demand perfection, but it does demand persistence. It does not require a perfect plan, but it does require consistent steps forward. Every action, every choice, every disciplined effort compounds into a life that refuses to be average. Remember this: potential alone does not make you extraordinary. Courage alone does not make you exceptional. Discipline and action are the engines that turn gifts into results, dreams into achievements, and ambition into reality. The life you were meant to live will not come to you by accident. It comes to those who commit consistently and intentionally to showing up, doing the work, and refusing to settle. So ask yourself today, what action can I take now that aligns with the extraordinary life I was meant to live? What discipline can I cultivate today that will compound into a future of greatness? Because without action, potential is wasted, courage is hollow, and the extraordinary remains forever out of reach. Choose to act, choose to persist, choose to rise above average. If we have recognized our potential, confronted our fears, and committed ourselves to disciplined action, then the final step in rejecting an average life is to understand that your life is meant to serve a greater purpose. Excellence is not just about personal gain, accolades, or wealth. True greatness is inseparable from contribution, from leaving the world better than you found it. You were not created solely for yourself. You were created to impact others, to uplift those around you, and to fulfill a role in the larger story of humanity. Without this perspective, striving for personal achievement alone can feel hollow and incomplete. Philosophically, human beings are inherently relational. We exist in connection with others, and our actions resonate far beyond our own lives. Every act of excellence, every choice to rise above mediocrity, has the power to inspire and influence. When you live intentionally, you create ripples, you become a model, a source of hope, a catalyst for change. It is through this lens that the pursuit of greatness transcends selfish ambition. It becomes a moral and spiritual imperative, a responsibility to honor the gifts you have been given by contributing to the world around you. Psychologically, purpose is what sustains motivation over the long term. Discipline without purpose can feel mechanical, courage without direction can feel chaotic, and action without meaning can feel empty. But when your efforts are connected to something larger than yourself, they gain significance. Struggling through challenges becomes meaningful because it is not just for you. It is for your family, your community, your faith, or humanity at large. Purpose transforms effort into legacy. It turns ordinary work into extraordinary impact. Living above average requires a shift in mindset from self-centered to service-oriented. This does not mean neglecting your own growth. It means integrating your excellence with contribution. History is filled with people whose talents were unmatched, but whose lives were incomplete because they pursued success in isolation. Compare them to those who combined brilliance with service, thinkers, innovators, leaders, and reformers whose work lifted communities, inspired generations, and created movements. The measure of a life well lived is not simply what you acquire, but what you give and how your existence improves the world for others. The beauty of embracing this higher purpose is that it adds depth to your journey. Challenges become more bearable because they are not endured merely for personal satisfaction, they are endured for something that transcends the self. Failure, setbacks, and criticism lose some of their sting when your vision is larger than temporary obstacles. Mediocrity cannot survive in a life fueled by meaningful purpose, because ordinary action is insufficient to achieve extraordinary impact. A life aimed at true contribution naturally demands excellence, courage, and persistent effort. So, let this be your guiding thought. You were created to be more than average because the world itself requires more than average. Your gifts, your talents, your courage, and your discipline are not ends in themselves. They are instruments for a greater cause. Each choice to rise, to act, to endure, and to contribute is a declaration that you will not settle for a life of mediocrity. The people, communities, and even generations you touch are counting on you, whether you realize it or not. Leave this moment with a clear understanding. The extraordinary life is inseparable from meaningful contribution. To live fully, to live above average, is to dedicate your gifts to a purpose beyond yourself. Do not aim merely to exist or to accumulate. Aim to create, to inspire, and to elevate. Every life has the potential to leave a legacy, but only those who embrace responsibility, courage, discipline, and service truly fulfill it. The question is not whether you are capable, it is whether you are willing. Step forward, rise, and let your life be more than ordinary, because the world cannot afford anything less.